Welcome to National Arts. I'm Mike Baker. In an era long before the term dysfunctional family became a trendy buzzword, Jean Cocteau penned his 1938 drama titled Les Parents Terribles, which paints a scathing portrait of a family struggling to find itself. On this edition of National Arts, we'll take a look at the latest Broadway translation of Les Parents Terribles titled Indiscretions, which is directed by Sean Mathias and stars Cynthia Nixon, Roger Rees, and Jude Law.
Oh, is there another maid?
No, Mama, it's the same as at home. Aunt Leo, did you hear them ringing?
Is Aunt Leo here?
I've only just got here. You almost bumped into me on the landing.
How long have you been here?
I said I've only just arrived.
Is it just you?
No, Madeleine's upstairs when she does her work, her book binding.
It's not exactly your style, is it?
Did I tell you? She binds books for a living. Book binding. Anyway, I just adore her. And she just adores me. And you'll just adore her too, I promise. And we're all open here, aren't we? We're all gypsies together. And my dream is for you and Papa and Leo to come and see her for yourself.
Psychologically, it's an incestuous relationship in that everyone's feeding off everybody else. And it's incestuous in that way. But then there's also this questionable relationship, which I'm sure Cocteau had to deal with morally in the 30s. But there's this question of incest between the mother and the son, too, here that has to be dealt with.
I suppose any claustrophobic relationship will sort of leave its, leave its remains with someone. And affect someone ultimately forever, and especially if it's an incredibly claustrophobic relationship between a parent and a child, because parents' relationships with their children are so vitally important that if it's overbearing or overpowering, you're obviously affected for life.
There's a variety of obsessive behavior here, not only the obsessive behavior of those that are not organized, such as Michael, or don't have this realm of organization within themselves, but then there's also the obsessive behavior of the person who always wants to categorize and organize and is obsessive about order. So you have these two diametrically opposing forces continually butting heads. Rather interesting. It seems to be no middle ground here at all.
No, not at all. It's order versus disorder.
Yes.
All the way. And which one... What's interesting, though, is that one needs the other in a way. That because, of course, without disorder, ordered people wouldn't have anything to order.
That's true.
And vice versa, in a way. So that, I think, that's something that the play gets to at the end, that ultimately everyone needs each other in order to function. And so whilst I'm sure the audience are thinking that Leo would love a day where everyone else was out of the house so that she could clean up. Ultimately, she couldn't just clean up. She couldn't clean up something that wasn't messed up in the first place.
That's true.
And that's a sort of image of the whole piece, I suppose.
There's another interesting point here worthy of discussion, and that's the whole, I think, point of departure where a mother lets a child go. I think parents are fascinated with the unconditional love that a child gives. But at what point do you cut that umbilical cord and allow the child to essentially go off on his or her own? Your mother hasn't let you go. The umbilical was never cut from birth.
No. And the room is cluttered with toys and jigsaws, and dressing up clothes. And they obviously he had an amazing childhood, but was never then given the sort of wings to take that bedrock or those roots and fly away with them and become a great person. He was always expected to, remain in that room. And not only that, also expected to stay a young boy. So it's almost as if his growing up, his maturing is being condemned by his mother. And he's meant to feel guilty for it. So going out and meeting another woman, meeting a girl, is the absolute sort of sign of him growing up, which she refuses to allow.
Oh, no. What are you talking about? Madeleine's still young.
That's the name.
I was hardly going to concede.
And you think you can hug me and flatter me? No one flatters me, no one. It'll be all smiles and nods. I've been peachy and happy that my son is being kept by the aged lover of an older woman with dyed blonde hair.
overindulgent nature of society. I mean, there's a preponderance of them in these plays. I mean, it's overwhelming, and it's overwhelming to see what they do to the orderly characters. You know, they just run amok. And so I think Cocteau maybe is warning us that if we don't get a hold on things, in fact, it even says that there's a, even Leah says there's a time at which we have to control ourselves. You know, if we don't pull all this in and rein this in, society's just going to run amok, and we'll have total chaos.
Cocteau had a way of, I don't know, he almost sort of, he gets to morals by default, almost.
Yes, I like that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
he's never the sort of actor, writer rather, that is leading his actors to a point of resolution. It's just like it's suddenly
just a semicolon.
Suddenly it pops up.
I noticed that you did Happy in Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Now, there's an interesting character. He has some of the characteristics of Michael, in a way, the youthful exuberance, the unrealistic nature of life.
The hope,
The hope.
The sort of blind optimism. I found Happy absolutely fascinating because, of course, I think Biff sort of jumps out initially for a young actor as the part to play in that piece. Obviously, Willy Loman is the part to play, but actually Happy is there throughout, and always within the kitchen or the bedroom when the family are discussing the sort of torments of Willy Loman, but never really said anything. And it was my impression by the end that he in a way was Willy Loman to come. He was the future of Willy Loman, as if.
We see in a lot of the American as well as the European classics that the youthful generation is the hope of the future. And if indeed you embrace that, then Cocteau's piece is really, really disturbing. Wow.
And actually, I suppose, and that sort of ties in a way with the Lomans, in as much as, you know, both plays deal with an older generation facing its end, and, you know, there being a sort of a fight by the young to sort of make a change, but ultimately, you know, there is always going to be something rubbing off, and which means that you carry something with you into the future. And Michael's youth and positivity is certainly sort of dampened by the end, and he's not going to carry that into the future.
You have this boundless energy on stage, which you have to essentially maintain. And yet for a young actor, 22, to also show the pain and angst that comes from lost love, I think exemplifies great acting skill on your part. You're showing a world of experience as such a young actor.
It's a great part to play, but it's been an interesting transition. When I first played it in London, the angst and the sort of pain that Michael goes through at the end of the second act and most of the third act, I found quite tough, actually. And it's been interesting in a year how much easier that's become, and actually how much harder it has been to maintain the youthfulness and the naivety and the credulousness in the beginning. But actually, as far as the energy goes, it's actually quite a blessing in a way, because sometimes it's almost harder to play a part. I always think that you have to completely control and think about almost every single move you're making, whereas when you can just explode, when you can really go for it, you sort of know that there's no limit, but you know that you know the starting line that you have to get to before you can go on stage, so you can literally sort of dive on and not stop until the curtain drops.